Okay, today we're talking about Arsenal. I've spoken about Arsenal maybe the most amount of times on this channel. I'm not sure. And it's funny because they are undoubtedly the team I despise the most on the planet. But I'm kind of intrigued with Arsenal because my feeling is that, firstly, like the title says, they need to sort themselves out, right? They are just heading in a direction of regret, basically. In my opinion, Arsenal should be on for their third Premier League title in a row. If we look at 22-23, they just, without question, should have won the Premier League that season. I actually remember making a video halfway in saying if they lost the league at this point, then it's not a bottle job. But then they went on to do the most bottle job thing I've ever seen in my life. They should have won the Premier League that year, no doubt. In fact, in that season, on game week 30, Arsenal were 6 points ahead of Manchester City. They then went to Anfield. They were 2-0 up at Anfield, and Granit Xhaka decides to, wind up the Liverpool players and fans, and they end up drawing that game. And that game, for me, was where they should have basically kind of cemented themselves as Premier League champions almost. But that season as well, the problem is they lost 7-2 on aggregate to Manchester City. They lost 3-1 and 4-1. And both of them were just nothing performances against a team that they were better than that season. Especially the Etihad game. I thought they were so pathetic. Because if they had won that game, again, I genuinely believe they would have won the Premier League. Now, the game last year was Aston Villa. I mean, I just think Arsenal fans will remember that game for the rest of their lives, because if they had won that game, similar to the Liverpool one, I think that was the moment where they would have gone on to win the Premier League if they had won that game. I think they drew, didn't they, that one? I remember Tielemans and Ollie Watkins having a really good game, similar to the other day, actually. And I actually made a tweet the other day saying, if Arsenal just had Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in the last 3 seasons, they'd literally be on, I think, for 3 Premier League titles right now. This is the problem with Arsenal, because this has been a huge opportunity to have a golden era in the Premier League. That 22-23 season, they should have won it. The next season after that, they should have won it again. And this year, with Man City not performing massively off it this year, this was the opportunity again of a lifetime where you go and win the Premier League. Liverpool, new manager, Klopp leaving, but no, Arsenal have just messed around and they have found out. And what does that Aubameyang point really mean? Because it's a stupid point, right? Saying someone if they were 3 years younger. Well, they're not, right? But the point is, if they had just recruited better and actually improved on their front line in these 3 years, Arsenal would have had a golden era. Instead, since that 22-23 season, the 3 attacking players that Arsenal have signed have been Kai Havertz, Leandro Trossard and Raheem Sterling. In my opinion, that's a bit of a disaster, and they still haven't signed anyone this January. I think they might. But the fact that they don't have an Isak or anything like that is a disaster, because I think those 3 players are actually good squad players. Trossard is a good player. Havertz, he can score a goal. He has an eye for a goal, but he's not good enough to be Arsenal's main man, and that 60 million was awful, that signing. If Kai Havertz wasn't good enough at Chelsea, okay, yes, he scored a Champions League final goal, but was he good that year? No. Was he good the next year? No. He's had some good moments in his career. He has had times where he's shown individual brilliance, actually. But if he wasn't good enough to do it at Chelsea, why would he be good enough at Arsenal? Arsenal need to get their shit together. De Bruyne is on the decline. Man City can't rely on Foden to win them a Premier League. He just isn't that level of a De Bruyne. Haaland is playing poor. Their midfield, Rodri is injured. Bernardo Silva is aging. Savinho is new to the league. Doku hasn't really gotten used to the league either yet. There's such a massive opportunity for Arsenal to win the Premier League, and they have not taken it. It's not over, right? Because you look at Arsenal's squad at the moment, and it's really healthy. You have Saka, Odegaard, Rice, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, David Raya, Zubamendi coming in. All of these are actually in their prime or getting to their prime level. They're in that age bracket of being in their prime or just about getting there. So there's still a massive opportunity for Arsenal now to still have a golden era of a Premier League golden era. Plus, you have two very exciting youngsters in Ethan Nwaneri and Lewis Skelly to give competition to those players. And then when you look at the main competition, of course, Man City will be back. You know, they've just spent like 150 million in January. But when you look at the team on top of the table right now, Liverpool, they have to give 3 contracts to their key players. Now, I think Trent will end up leaving. I think Salah will sign, and I think Van Dijk will sign. So you look at those two players, you know, the moment those two players write their signatures for a new contract, they'll be in decline. They're just going to get worse, basically, from the second they sign. Every year, they're not going to get better, those two players. So Arsenal, for me, have to capitalise on the two best players in the Premier League declining. You know, those two players for Liverpool, Van Dijk is the best defender I've ever seen. Salah is the best winger I've seen in Premier League since I've been watching the Premier League, basically. Liverpool are not going to do better than those players. So from the start of their decline, Arsenal have to be the team to go and win the title with all the players that they have that are entering their prime. It's time to get real for the Arsenal board. You don't want to be Tottenham 16-17. Trust me. When I have to see pictures of that 11, right, with Dele Alli, with Eriksen, with Son, Kane, Dembele, Wanyama, Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Rose, Walker, Lloris, and you see the picture and you say, how did this team not win anything? And then it just crushes your soul for the day. It ruins your day, right? You don't want that to be Arsenal with your Odegaard's, Rice, Saka's, you know, Jesus, Gabriel and Saliba. You know, you don't want that as an Arsenal fan, or a board, or a manager. I think Isak, Osimhen, Ivan Toney, Kvaratskhelia, Rodrigo, Ollie Watkins, any of these players, right? Get them in. Just get them in. Win a Premier League title, because I think with any of those players, Arsenal would win the Premier League. Also, Arsenal and this defensive thing that Arteta's going for, Arsenal are at their best when they're all out attacking, when they're just in your face, right? We played them at home this season. We lost 1-0, right? But there wasn't much in it. We could have easily scored at some point. We were just a bit shit to not score. And Arsenal, to be fair, did defend well. But when we played them at the Emirates a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago was it? They're so much better when they attack because they're the best pressers. They keep the ball really well. They have such good technical players, and their attackers are really threatening when they actually press high. And they're a nightmare to play when they're all out attacking. So if I was Arteta, I'd drop this defensive shit as he does all the time. Get attacking, because that's the best Arsenal. There's such an opportunity here, and all of their players, the manager, the owners, everyone at Arsenal, the fans, they just bitch and moan. Just win the league, you know, be men, win the title. To be honest, I genuinely believe if Arsenal do not win the league this year, they can no longer joke about Tottenham being bottle jobs. And that's not really what this video is about, to get my own back about being a Spurs fan. It's just, there's such an opportunity. I'm actually acknowledging Arsenal, how good they are. They are currently the best team in the Premier League, right? They should be winning titles. They should be on for their 3rd in a row right now. If they don't win the league this year, I don't think they can joke about Spurs being bottle jobs unless they win the Champions League. So my point is, I think Arsenal are very good. And I'm not sure if Arsenal realise how good they are. I think they're just one attacker off from winning the league and being a major threat in the Champions League. And especially now that Saka's injured, surely they do something. If they have to spend 150 million on Isak, just do it. Just do it. Would you spend Basically, would you spend 150 million for a title? Because I really do believe the second half of the season for Liverpool will be much tougher than the first half. I don't anticipate Liverpool to get the points that they did in the first half. I think the title will be close anyway between Arsenal and Liverpool, but I think it could be even closer and Arsenal would win it if they just make one more signing.